I have too many sketchbooks. In fact, not all of my sketchbooks are in these clips because I seem to have misplaced them. But you get the idea. I have a lot of sketchbooks, and to be really honest, I only use two of them most of the time. Sketchbooking is a practice that I've always wanted to get more into as an artist, because I don't feel like I use them to their full potential, and I definitely don't use them every day. So I decided to choose one of my sketchbooks and to try drawing in it daily for a month. Spoiler alert, I failed. Nevertheless, I still wanted to share this video and my thoughts on daily sketching. The sketchbook that I decided to use for this challenge was my ink sketchbook. The idea behind this sketchbook is to only use ink or pens and as little pencil as possible. In fact, I think there's only 3 pages in this sketchbook that actually have any pencil markings on them. So I primarily used my ink fountain pen for this sketchbook. Limiting myself to only using ink means that I have to be more intentional about the lines that I'm creating, and I can't erase any mistakes that I make. They just become a part of the artwork. To start off this challenge, I simply drew the spaces around me, such as my desk, the plants in our living room, and the activities that I had done in my day. At the moment, in this footage, I'm sketching a parcel that arrived for me all the way from Japan, which held a mug that I'd thrown. And to be honest, I love this hybrid journal sketchbook documenting style, but when your days look very similar like mine, this can lead to a creative block in what to draw. So by the end of this challenge, I was drawing many thumbnail compositions of either images that I found on Pinterest or my own photographs from my recent travels. This is a new drawing practice that I've been loving recently. By drawing mini compositions for painting ideas, it forces me to look harder at the reference photo to decide what to include in the sketch and what is necessary to convey the feeling of the image. It also makes looking at the shapes of the images important so that you can simplify down and focus on the composition. Earlier in this sketchbook I did the same practice but repeated the images to continue simplifying them, and I think this worked well as a practice before starting painting. I think the main thing that I learnt from this challenge was that whilst it isn't difficult to carve out 5 or 10 minutes of my day to sketch, it is hard to stay consistent with it and to feel inspired to sketch. That is why, whilst I started with the intention of sketching daily for a month, I only managed about 2 weeks. Life got busy, and so I stopped picking up the sketchbook. I think practicing daily is a good habit to have as an artist, but I also believe that practicing art can come in many different forms, and forcing one thing, such as daily sketching, may not actually be useful. Personally, I think it is simply better to follow where your creativity flows each day, whether that means sketching, painting, animating, sculpting, sewing, or video editing. There are so many different forms of creativity out there, and trying or practicing each one is what makes us artists. Whilst we can become known for or best at one of them, most artists want to try as many different forms of creativity as possible. And I'm definitely one of those artists. So would I do this challenge again? Yes, but I think with more of the mindset of creating every day, not just sketching. Here are all of the pages that I sketched whilst doing this challenge. So on the first day I sketched the parcel that came for me from Japan that had the mug that I threw whilst in Japan. And then I drew my outfit of the day, which I quite enjoyed doing this and documenting that. This is a little still life composition that I did of the table in our living room. I went climbing on this day and I actually sketched this out in pencil first. It's one of the only ones where I use pencil, but that ink is from Japan, so that was quite fun. I have a composition of me sitting at my desk, and one of my favourite compositions in this sketchbook is actually the one here where I was at the community garden, and whilst my perspective is a little off on the planters, I really just love the way that you get a feeling for what the garden looks like. And this is also one of my favourite pages, which is sketches of the different things that were growing in the garden at the time whilst I was there. So you've got strawberries, beetroot, broad beans, and courgettes. I spelt courgette wrong. I don't know why. But I really love this, and this inspired me to then go on and make more artwork like this, which I have yet to show. And again, I just felt like drawing a lot of these vegetables repeatedly. I just really loved the way that you could illustrate them and design them, and they were far more inspiring than what was happening in my day-to-day life. These are the mini compositions that I talked about earlier, and so these 4 are from reference photos from Pinterest, and then these 2 are from photos from my travels in South Korea and Japan. And I just love making these little mini compositions because everything is the same colour. It's really deciding what to bring out and what to make stand out. And then this is a little sea scene. Again, it's a photo from Pinterest that I just looked at and followed. And that is all, as far as I got with sketchbooking. I think it is about roughly 2 weeks in time. But I did enjoy this challenge.